This week, Citrix Bleed 2, and so many failures. Ruckus leads the way on how not to handle vulnerabilities. When you have no egress, there's a tool for that. Applocker bypass. So you bought earbuds from a TikTok shop. How'd that go for you? More gadgets and crazy radios, cheap drones and Android apps, best Mario Kart controller ever. VSCode, you're forked. Bluetooth earbuds and vulnerabilities. Do you remember Sound Blaster cards? NFC passport chips, whack a disc. All that and more on this episode of Paul's Security Weekly. This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where exploits run wild, packets aren't the only things getting sniffed, and the cocktails flow steady. It's Paul's Security Weekly. Your company runs on Google Workspace, but it's an afterthought for most security tools. Material Security is the first and only platform purpose-built to protect Google Workspace, securing email, data, and user accounts from advanced threats. From blocking sophisticated phishing attacks in Gmail to preventing unauthorized app usage and fixing risky file sharing in G Drive, Material continuously protects your data. Don't settle for second best. Protect Google Workspace with Material Security. Learn more at securityweekly.com/Material Security. Whenever we talk to security teams, one thing is clear. They are under more pressure than ever, facing increasingly complex and higher stakes threats. That's where Flashpoint comes in. Flashpoint empowers organizations to make mission-critical decisions to keep their people and assets safe. Flashpoint combines cutting-edge technology with expert intelligence teams, empowering security leaders with the critical data and alerts and analysis needed to act before threats escalate. And with Ignite, Flashpoint's award-winning threat intelligence platform, you get access to real-time insights, finished intelligence, and analytics all in one place. Learn more at securityweekly.com/Flashpoint. Coming to you live from the Hacker Syndicate studio, this is Paul's Security Weekly. It's episode number 882, being recorded on Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. I'm, of course, your host, Paul Asadorian, joined in studio to my left. I guess in the video to the right, but
all depends on how they edit it.
It all depends on how they edit. This is true. Raynell Larry is on my left. Larry, welcome.
Yeah, it's good to be back in the studio.
It's good to have you.
It was an interesting week last week, for sure, given the short show and that I wasn't in a studio.
Oh, yeah, you were in a
car show.
Car show, right. Mr. Lee Neely is here with us. Lee, welcome.
Hey, it's good to be here. Did I tell you yesterday I went to an antique auction and 3 people bid on me?
I'd believe it.
Believe that. Miss Mandy Logan is here with us. Welcome, Mandy.
Thanks. I would like mine edited to show I'm in Iceland. Thank you.
Yes, you are. And you're very colorful today in a good way.
I am, I know.
The glasses really round up the color. I gotta work on my color.
Here.
I'm rocking the black. The Pear eyewear. We are not endorsed by Pear eyewear. But
No, but look at that.
We could be.
We could.
We could
Look
be.
at it.
Yeah.
Look.
Every
We're
one of us
showing
wears
them live in
glasses.
action.
We all wear them in all different colors. Josh Morpet is here with us. Josh, welcome.
Not endorsed by Pear Eyewear, just to be clear, okay?
How is your Amazon? We're also not endorsed by Amazon. How is your Amazon Prime Day shopping going, though?
It's really bad. You know that whole don't get drunk in Prime? I'm doing it. I'm not even drunk. Like, I need to be drunk to stop feeling the pain of my wallet. Okay, let's be honest here.
Yes.
Josh, I feel your pain. Unfortunately, that was my AliExpress this week.
Yes.
I had to order something for work, and I accidentally left the AliExpress tab open. And the next morning, I showed up the next morning because I was ordering something late at night after a call, and I showed up the next morning. I was like, "You might also like this," and like, yes, I actually would.
Yeah, I would.
Like
I would love all of that.
Yep.
AliExpress, one thing turns into 10 things like that.
One thing turns into $600 like nothing.
Yes, like nothing.
They're
Ask
so
me how I know
cheap
this.
individually.
I know.
But the nice part about AliExpress is for like the next 3 months, you're going to get presents.
and for the
You will
next
have
3 months,
forgotten.
you'll get emails.
Right?
That
Yeah.
your order has been received. Your order has been shipped. Your order is on a boat. Your order is on a truck. Your order is with green eggs and ham. Your order is in customs. Your order didn't make it through customs.
I know.
Just sent it
Life
back.
is so. What did we do? Life was so boring before AliExpress. So many emails.
Does anybody even
packages.
look? Does anybody look forward to the Walmart days? Aren't they coming up? You know, Walmart's
I
taking
don't
out.
know. No,
farms.
yeah, Walmart is actually pretty good. I've ordered some more outdoor stuff, fishing
Yeah.
stuff on Walmart. Is really they've got that Ozark Trail brand.
yeah.
It's a good line.
It's
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Do they make everything about fishing pliers and all kinds of stuff, dude? It's great.
I got an Ozark Trail tent that I used one night and I returned because, but it was
I
a good
remember that
tent.
story.
Yeah.
Yes.
No comment.
So last night I was trying to find stuff on Prime Day, and it was when I was looking for a new weather station that I could hook with Weather Underground and some other things, and the one I thought was reading up real cool until it turns out it's been made by Huawei and ZTE. I decided I was going to pass. I actually found one made in America.
Look at V4. They're not made in America, but they're not bad, and the V4 ones are pretty nice.
Nice. So.
And
If you get the
especially
Chinese
the one
ones,
on
though, I
TikTok.
mean, they come with malware, so there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So
I mean,
bonus.
Bonus
but I'm supposed to be
project.
retired from that life, right? No,
it.
Can you ever truly?
Just a quick reminder, you can join Discord to watch our show live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're not a member of our Discord server, you can join. There is an ongoing Discord server invite for Security Weekly. That's securityweekly.com/Discord. That is working. I tested it today. It is actually working. So join the Discord, watch the show live. Someday I'll even have Discord up here in the studio so we can see it. Right now I'm relying on one of the other hosts, I think Lee, to get it.
I'm watching it.
Yep.
Yep.
Was anyone watching the critical Citrix Bleed 2 vulnerability that came out? CV 2025-5777. It's very lucky. I mean, lucky in that if you didn't patch it, you've probably already been pwned. Just saying. I mean, I guess that's not really luck. I guess it depends on your perspective, right? If you're the attacker, it's lucky. It's a lucky CVE. If you're the defender, it's a very unlucky CVE, even though it has 3 sevens in it. So it's very similar to the 2023 Citrix Bleed vulnerability. It's actually kind of interesting because Citrix has stated that CV 2025-5777 in the original Citrix Bleed, which was 2023, I don't remember the CVE, Citrix was like, these are totally unrelated and completely different vulnerabilities. However, if you ask Kevin Beaumont, Horizon 3 AI, Watchtower Labs, or you plug it into an LLM, they will all tell you, wow, these vulnerabilities are very, very, very similar. And in fact, the result of exploiting these vulnerabilities is pretty much the same. There are, to Citrix credit, there are some differences in terms of the types of credentials they were pulling out of memory in Citrix Bleed. 1 was a little different than Citrix Bleed 2 from what I read. But they are basically both memory leaks that allow an attacker to pull things from random locations in memory, including credentials. This could be credentials for your administrative interface to your Citrix NetScaler device. These could be, in the original case of Citrix Bleed, I believe they were pulling out VPN credentials, which are essentially AD credentials from memory. I think that was the vulnerability.
It was arguably random portions of memory, so you could be a crapshoot as to what you get. You could get something great, or you could get 1,000 things awesome.
But they were just Kevin Beaumont talks about, and a couple of the other articles do too. You just keep at the same, keep sending it, and it keeps sending you
new data.
New data.
Yep.
So the Citrix Bleed 2, it's actually kind of funny. Watchtower Labs did a great job writing it up, and if you want just a quick summary of how the exploit works, what they figured out was if you send, I believe it was a post request. Somewhere I saw it was a GET request, but I'm pretty sure it was a post request with the login parameter. But the login parameter in that HTTP request cannot have an equal sign after it, and it cannot have a value. So if you, like normally when you send parameterized parameter within an HTTP request, right? It has the value of the variable login, the equal sign, and then a value.
Yep.
In this case, they just sent login, no equal sign, no value, and that in the code you can read the description is what led to the memory leak.
It almost feels like somebody accidentally discovered this by taking the login link and copying it and pasting it out of an email or something where the line got chopped off.
Right.
It was probably something a little bit more.
Again, Watchtower and Horizon 3, if you want like excruciating technical details and how it all works, those were the two articles that I read. I'm just kind of recalling from memory what was in there, but great articles nonetheless. And, that's an indication in and of itself, right? We've got a new vulnerability and we've got in-depth write-ups from both Watchtower Labs and Horizon 3. So that's kind of telling. But so the other thing about this vulnerability is this has been actively exploited in the wild for some time, even before a patch or any public details were available about the vulnerability. Citrix stated in their advisory that they were not aware of any active exploitation of this vulnerability.
That may be accurate.
Right?
Citrix may not be aware of it.
If I stick my head in the sand,
Yep.
I'm not aware of any active exploitation of any particular vulnerability. In fact, if I stick my head in the sand, the internet is a safe place with no vulnerabilities. How about that? It calls into question the if you're not an expert in monitoring in the wild exploitation, or you're not partnered with an organization, or even just like a friendly request, like maybe you build, if you're a large cybersecurity vendor, maybe you've got a trusted circle, you're like, hey, we're calling in this vulnerability, you guys seeing it exploded in the wilds, mutual NDAs are in place, like go hunt for it so we can determine if it's being exploited in the wild. Because then if it is, we can say that so that our customers know that it's being exploited in the wild. What I think happens instead is many cybersecurity vendors don't bother looking and just go, no, it's not exploited in the wild, because no one told us it's been exploited in the wild, right?
Yep. And to do all that other work is work and costs money.
So
A damn
Also-
4-letter word that ends in K. What the hell?
Yep. Citrix provided no details in the form of IOCs, vulnerability details, or really any useful information to its customers. In fact, I did read an article that talked about the patch having some adverse effect. I don't know if it was a patch for this specific vulnerability, but there was, I believe, a Citrix patch that was causing adverse effects. So this is like a perfect storm of badness, right? You've got a vulnerability that threat actors knew about first. They were running around exploiting it. You got a vendor that says, no, it's not being exploited in the wild. Here's a patch. It might break stuff. People aren't going to apply it. And then Citrix doesn't release any information about this particular vulnerability, which means can I put a WAF rule in? Well, no, not according to Citrix, because they didn't release any of the details on it. So thankfully, the internet in our community stood up and was like, no, here's how the vulnerability works. And so Watchtower, Horizon 3, and Kevin Beaumont all have links in the show notes, by the way, to their articles on this topic. Kevin did not pull any punches when talking about Citrix and this vulnerability. He said, by providing no technical details at all, customers have been left vulnerable to attack with absolutely no clue how to check for prior exploitation. This also happened with Citrix Bleed. So not only is this happened, this is the second time that this has happened. In reality, exploitation started soon after the patch released, so providing no technical details didn't slow exploitation. It gave attackers a head start and left customers with a false sense of security that simply applying patches had resolved the problem. Had they been given, for example, a clue about looking for large volume of due authentication requests, that was what I was referencing earlier, they could have checked the logs and looked for WAF rules to block that stuff. But it didn't happen. And he says, now likely a large number of organizations will again be invoking incident response under 2 years since the original Citrix Bleed. I hate to knock Citrix in this case, but those are the facts. I may have expressed some opinions in there too. But
No.
Is that
Maybe.
okay? In your
Maybe.
guys' opinion, now under the root cause analysis section of the Watchtower write-up, where it says we were immediately faced with a significant challenge: a statically compiled binary with thousands of changes that look almost purposely obstructive. Citrix. Do you think that's genuine? Like, would you guys, like, in your idea, when you're talking about this, would you think they actually did try to obfuscate just simply with the thousands of changes?
It's a great question, Mandy, and a very keen eye to point that out from the article. And so I don't know. This could go either way. But if we roll with the explanation that someone at Citrix was like, "Hey, we're going to patch this vulnerability," and it's likely that people like Watchtower Labs are going to do a patch diff, right, to see what changed between patch version and non-patch version. So let's just go change a whole bunch of random stuff to make reverse engineering harder.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of find that unlikely.
Okay.
Right? Like that conversation would actually happen at Citrix, who, as we've seen, like they're not really in tune with what's happening here in the security community, as is evidenced by their announcement of has been exploited in the wild, right? Yep. And just a history of vulnerabilities. Don't forget, Netscaler was an acquisition by Citrix in 2005. They bought that. It was largely a web caching kind of system. So.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, it could have been one of those decisions. I wouldn't be surprised if it was just something that maybe they changed as part of the compilation process.
I agree. It's more. I think it was more organic that they.
Yeah, even into the point of maybe dates or times being used as part of the process when it was changed. But even that being said, if they used it as an obfuscation technique, I would venture to guess that doing a patch diff and showing that there were 1,000 possible changes and having the 2 copies of the binaries, you could feed that to an LLM and it would tell you which ones were the actual patches.
They could have used an LLM to do that.
Quite easily.
I mean, Citrix could have also updated their coding styling guidelines and updated the coders' linting tools.
That's a really good point. Right? Yep, that's a really good point.
Could have been the case as well.
Yeah,
this is just the first time it's been recompiled since it linted.
First time it's been recompiled since 2005.
Yeah, exactly. Josh, sorry, what was that?
You're thinking of it in terms of forensics and incident response, but realistically, this is a shift left issue. This is they screwed it up at the beginning, not through malicious activity. So they should have had proper style manuals. They should have had proper release notes. I know what an idea of release notes.
Oh, maybe. And to Paul's point, maybe they did, and they changed that style guide. This new code is the first time it's been recompiled under the new style guide, and maybe not just even recompiled, but the first time someone actually had to go in and change something, and had to update to the new style guide.
Right.
So Mandy, that would very much explain for 1,000 changes for something.
And sadly, I just missed part of that because I was on the Discord. Sorry.
No, don't worry.
You can listen to the recording. It's all right.
Exactly.
You can listen to the live stream. It's cool.
Well, an even easier one.
To.
Speaking of screwing up vulnerabilities, an even easier one to talk about, because we really don't have many technical details at all, and I think for good reason, is there were 9 vulnerabilities discovered and disclosed to Ruckus networks by Clarity's Team 82. Yeah. And they, so we don't have a disclosure timeline, so I don't know. We also have not muted Paul's phone. Rookie mistake. I didn't do that. But we don't have a disclosure timeline. However, Ruckus and their parent company have not responded to anyone, not the researchers, not to US CERT, and not to Bleeping Computer.
Yeah.
That is stupid.
I find it shocking in 2025 that there is a company, a technology company, Ruckus makes, wireless gear, right? Technology company. And, I think they make network gear now too. They changed the name, right? But
it's
2025. And the researchers, you ghost them. The US CERT, you ghost. And Bleeping Computer, you're just silent quiet on all fronts.
There's a name for that, Paul. There's a name for that.
We don't use that kind of language in front of your daughter.
Dumbass, and that's language I can use in front of her. Dumbass, because frankly, that is just plain stupid. That is how to get yourself thrown out of companies and how to get yourself thrown out of industries.
Daddy taught me a new word today.
They do networking devices for venues. If I read that right, they're like shownets and shit. But I was kind of surprised that it was like a bunch of them were like, of the 9, a bunch of them were hard-coded credentials. I'm like, how many times have we talked about hard-coded credentials as of late? Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
But-
yeah.
But and the only mitigation that's out there right now is watch, review your user list, lock down the management interface, and make sure you're only using encrypted protocols when managing the things. That feels a little.
I said U.S. CERT. It's Carnegie Mellon's University CERT Coordination Center, CERT CC.
It's CMU CERT. Yeah.
Yeah, and a researcher from Clarity Team 82 both tried to report them to Ruckus Wireless, who is now Ruckus Networks, or its parent company. CommScope is the parent company.
Good Lord.
And so these remain
grief.
unfixed. And, they're not vulnerabilities that, it's nothing. It's like, hard-coded default public-private SSH keys that allows anyone to connect to vulnerable devices with root-level access. So these are not
What could go wrong?
like low-severity vulnerabilities. I'm looking
they're
at
not.
the CVSS score right now, if it's even been scored.
Really? At 44958?
4494?
No, 8. 44958.
What's 44958?
R&D encrypts stored passwords with a hard-coded weak secret key and can return them in plain text if compromised.
Wow. That would be inconvenient.
Oh, God.
Unless you're an attacker, it's nice.
It's very nice.
It's lovely. It's like a fine wine.
A gift for understatement.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stick
Exactly.
with inconvenient truth. Yeah.
That's 942, Paul, not the right one.
Oh, what did I do?
No,
44958.
You did it. You did the Google search right, but the
4495.
results has 52.
Oh, yeah.
You
Huh?
on 4?
It's not even listed at NVD, is it?
Oh, no,
there
here it is.
But it comes up afterwards.
Isn't that weird?
What's CVS version 3.55 medium for that one?
Interesting.
And so what was the other one that we looked at? The SSH one?
No, 4494.
No, that's not the right one.
No.
Nope.
54.
No, you're
is,
right. Oh no,
is
you're right.
SSH.
You're right. You're right. It's not. You're right. My Google has failed us because these are new.
Oh. Stand by.
Probably should have.
Stand by. The Google engine is working.
Shark in Discord found some discussions about it.
Yeah.
Feedly has 54.
Ah,
in
Feedly.
it,
Yeah. Good old
Well,
Feedly.
so, but now here's what we do. is we
Oh,
do this.
nice. Hard-coded public-private key pair.
I like that.
But
No,
remember,
that one's not even in
compare
NVD.
that. So it doesn't
Well,
matter.
it's,
No.
you got the wrong number still.
44954.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
44954. Yeah.
That's not.
4495. What?
Unless that's
No.
2025 44954 is not in the NVD
Oh.
database yet. Imagine that.
Yes.
All right, I'm done.
Huh.
Done looking up CVEs now. No one wants to watch us look up CVEs live on the air. I mean, unless you do. And we can create a whole show just looking up CVEs.
You're
Shout out random CVEs and we'll look them up and talk about them.
Dear God.
Exactly. Also,
Random CVEs until you become a cybersecurity expert.
I think Shark is promoting that you use DuckDuckGo and not Google to find them.
Yeah. Or an LLM might be better too.
Probably.
I found that my reference to 4954 came through Feedly's AI, which summarized conversations about it.
Oh.
Which I didn't start out looking for. Actually, in that particular browser, I think I did do DuckDuckGo, and that's where it took me.
Does anyone remember a CVE off the top of their head? You can describe it. The only one I can do that recently is the one that we discovered that was added to the Kev 2025 54085 is the one with the Open BMC.
Yeah.
The BMC
'cause
rather.
it's-
AMI Mega Rack
It's like your
vulnerability that
baby.
Vlad discovered. Yeah. It is. It is kind of, I nurture
It's your
it.
little guy. Yeah.
I water it every day. Yeah.
by peeing on it, it's not watering. It's not the same.
It's like, yeah, it's the way. It's the right way for this one.
Like, none of these damn things are in this catalog yet.
No, it's frustrating, isn't it? That's why there's not many technical details.
Those
Let's get back to
jerks.
how a bleeping computer attempted to contact Ruckus via multiple communication channels, but were unable to reach out. But we were unable to reach out. I'd argue you did reach out. You just didn't get a response.
Yeah. Well, I read that one on Bleeping Computer as well. I was like, yeah.
Wait, what is their new name? Technologies?
Networks, Ruckus Networks. I would imagine because they make more than just wireless gear now.
Yeah.
I don't know if some of this stuff, if they said the products, it impacted 2 Ruckus Networks products, which is the Ruckus Wireless Virtual Smart Zone and Ruckus Network Director. Range from unexploding to blah, 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 blah. Like bad vulnerabilities. Bad. Why wouldn't you? This conversation could have went in a completely different direction had Ruckus just been like, oh, yes, thank you. We're going to go patch those as quickly as we can and get back to you.
They're having a summit in Austin on July 17th. You could just show up there.
I love Mandy's strategy here. If you're not going to respond to
let's go.
look, a whole bunch of hackers are going to show up to your conference and we're going to raise our hands and everybody and be like, so how about those 9 vulnerabilities?
Yes.
Any presentation, anyone, just how about those 9 vulnerabilities? Can you tell me about those?
Not just once, multiple times.
Yep.
Multiple,
So,
different.
glad for asking about those 9 vulnerabilities. Let me introduce our brand new cryptographically secure line of hard-coded RSA credentials. Too soon?
Never too soon.
You're bad.
I'm going to fry for that one. I know.
You should do that just so you can be filmed doing it. It would
Did
be
you
awesome.
see? Did you see that
Security Weekly shirt
banned
at the
party
time.
bus
No, not
that I
this
put
time.
in our private group chat?
Now,
Okay,
like that.
this is the situation where I need that.
Yes. Yes.
Like now, I wonder who do we know that works at Ruckus? Do
That's
we know
what I
someone?
was
Like,
looking up.
are they listening to the show right now, going,
Who
"Holy
is
shit,
in
this is bad."
Ruckus?
Let's put it this way.
I'm sorry. I am. If you work there or if you're an executive, I don't know. Maybe you just never. I don't know where it fell. Like, how does it?
We probably know at least 2
Did I?
people that
Am I
know
back?
someone that works at Ruckus.
Right.
Okay, I know. I lost you guys.
Kershaw, Draghorn.
I guess I can't get excited about
Yeah, like the
party bus
wireless
thing.
circle is pretty small
Yeah.
in cybersecurity.
Oh, Mandy just
She blinked back.
she did. Thankfully.
Did I?
You're back.
Am I back?
Don't touch the cables,
Okay,
Mandy.
I know. I
Stop
lost you
touching the
guys.
cables.
I mean,
I
maybe.
know. I guess I can't get excited about the
But
party
I
bus.
want to
Yeah.
give Ruckus the benefit of the doubt. However, I sometimes give companies the benefit of the doubt if it's a single security researcher who finds a vulnerability and reports it privately, like maybe sends an email to abuse or just tries to spray and pray to get someone's
Security
attention.
Yep.
Security at those can get lost.
Right.
In this case, though,
To quote,
Clarity's
to quote Ed Rooney, 9 times.
9 times, yes. But in this case, Clarity's Team 82 is a highly prestigious vulnerability research.
Recognized,
very
responsible.
Clarity
ethical.
is a big company. I'm sure they, larger vulnerability research teams have processes for discovering contacts and have a team of people. Like if we don't know, we ask, we try and figure it out. Like at Eclipsium, right? We try really hard.
We asked the question. Hey, do we know anybody that works?
Yes. Yeah. When you're an individual researcher,
Sean McCready.
But also,
I don't know.
But then I can't even give him a pass for that because then Carnegie Mellon CERT reached out, and tried to contact them.
What were you saying in there, Randy?
Yeah, sorry, man. I stepped in there.
Oh, no. I looked up on LinkedIn about Ruckus Networks, and for me, all of the people are second tier, whatever.
Second level connections.
Mandy, just start messaging them and send them a link to the bleeping computer.
9.
Like, hey, did you guys see this?
Connect.
And the video to YouTube from Ed Rooney 9 times.
9 times. So, can we chat in Austin? Hello.
Hello, 9 times.
Maybe we should just get like T-shirts made up with all the CVEs listed on the T-shirt and wear them to the conference. With like an email address for Sir.
And then have somebody film me like walking out the back door of the conference and then walking back in, like just.
I think they'd be filming us getting escorted out by
open.
security is what they'd be filming.
Yeah.
Oh.
That'd be funny because I'm the one that does the escorting out of DEF CON, but I would finally get escorted out of something else.
So, if you wanted to get somebody at Ruckus, you probably could. One of our former interns and sysadmins in Guardians, Thomas Hutchinson, used to work at Ruckus, I think. And Luis Eduardo used to work at Ruckus.
Right.
Used to.
Well, that maybe explains why, because the vulnerability reports probably went to those two people. They left. And so the emails are just bouncing.
Saying they saw the writing on the wall?
Maybe. That could be too.
Maybe.
We're just speculating.
I
mean, I hate to throw the company under the bus, but respond to vulnerability disclosures. Right? Like that's like step one is at least issue a response. Like it doesn't have to be a great response. It can be, hey, received your request. Can we get back to you next week? Right? Like that's acceptable response. Sure.
Admittedly, if it went to Luis Eduardo, they've got bigger problems considering he left Ruckus in March of 2009.
Oh, okay. So it very well could be that Luis doesn't know anyone that works there.
Yeah, that is also a very good possibility.
No. I wonder how many people Ruckus. No, we're going way down a rabbit hole there. You can't project what you can't see. Everyone knows that, right? That's why Run Zero gives you total visibility across your internal and external attack surfaces. Worried about unknown and unmanageable devices? They got those covered too. Run Zero also helps you illuminate all types of exposures, even the elusive ones. They go beyond CVEs to tackle the hard stuff, even 0 days. No agents, no authentication, just crazy deep data about your assets and exposures that focus on the risks that actually matter, not an endless sea of CVEs. Try it free. Visit securityweekly.com/Run Zero to get started.
Yeah, no, I was thinking this. I was like, how many people actually work there? I was trying to figure out the size of Ruckus.
Just, you know what? Get the CEO on the phone right now. Let's bring him on the river.
Exactly. Actually, I was thinking about messaging the principal engineer. Let's see.
Oh, good.
All right, we get a little too far on that one. So
never.
eBay won't let you buy or sell a Flipper Zero.
What?
Yep. So eBay has joined the ranks of Amazon, where they forbid the sale of Flipper Zero on the site.
Do we need to lock our brains in the closet over this one?
Yes. Yes, you do, Lee. That's very, very well put. I mean, we can almost like move on after Lee's comment. We can just move on, like because it makes no sense to me.
I mean, I didn't mean to kneecap you, bud.
So I started thinking, because this really grinds my gears, by the way, that you're singling out just one type of hacking device that the community has already, since inception, created literally dozens, maybe more.
Clones, individual functionality.
I mean, the individual functionality existed before the Flipper Zero did.
Isn't this kind of like, well, then shouldn't they ban hammers?
That's what I said. I said, you can go on Amazon and buy hammers, knives, crossbows, flamethrowers, swords,
what, Josh?
chemicals. I went down this whole rabbit hole. It's like watching YouTube videos of like the most dangerous things you could buy on Amazon. And like there's one YouTube channel that had 38 million subscribers. Was like a half-hour video of them testing all this ridiculously dangerous stuff that you can buy on Amazon. So you can buy all that stuff, but Flipper Zero. Lockpicks too. Can't buy lockpicks on Amazon.
eBay, you mean?
eBay, Amazon, I think both have a similar ban for flippers. Yeah.
Interesting. Go ahead, Mandy.
No, it's completely kind of unrelated, but it makes me think of this one organization I was around that was so concerned about people unaliving themselves that they had banned tampons because people could string together the strings and strangle themselves.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, good Lord.
Good Lord.
What? Are you joking?
I'm not joking.
No.
I'm not joking.
I'm not surprised.
No.
So that you can't buy them on eBay. But fun little story about the flipper. It was a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it's a couple weeks ago now. A high school buddy of mine emigrated, become an expat in Vietnam, and he's been there for years. Got married a couple of years ago to a nice Vietnamese lady, and they come back like once every other year to visit with family and that type of stuff. And he happened to be here this year. And instead of sort of being beholden to whatever was going to be around for travel, they were going to go travel through all New England. So he bought a motorcycle, and his brother picked it up for him and all that type of stuff. So they're doing a whole New England tour for like a month on a motorcycle, because that's all they drive in Vietnam is a motorbike, because that's the easiest way to get around. So he came and they crashed with us for a night. And, we're sitting there, drinking bourbon by the fire in the backyard. And he says, "Hey, you do all this hacking stuff. Do you have Flipper Zero?" Like, he is not a technology person. He went there to teach English, and like, "You have Flipper Zero?" I'm like, "Yeah."
2, actually.
Yeah, actually, 2.
Gotta have at least 2. Do you have 2? I have 2.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, that speaks to Gray Fox's comment about it has brand recognition, brand appeal.
It does. Yes, it does.
And maybe there's is there some kind of, I don't know, the leadership at Flipper Zero, but maybe somebody has an axe to grind with just a person?
No, I think it's absolving themselves of any legal troubles. That if someone were to use a Flipper Zero for nefarious purposes, that they could come back and say, "Well, I bought it on eBay, I bought it on Amazon," and
well, then they should stop selling a whole bunch of Bluetooth adapters and Wi-Fi adapters.
Yeah, don't give them any ideas.
And crossbows and flamethrowers. I don't get it.
My Prime Day watch list included plutonium, and they seemed fine with that.
Did you get a discount, Mandy?
I'm waiting. Yeah. Hopefully day 3 is my day.
I mean, at one time, you still buy a 55-gallon drum of lube on Amazon?
I think so. And if nothing else, Mandy, that order of 3,000 smoke detectors isn't going to set off any red flags.
No, not at all.
No.
That's not for plutonium. That's for americium.
Right. Either way, whatever.
Sorry, that's beside the point. I don't know anything about that. Never mind. Goodbye.
Now we're all on some kind of list.
Yeah, well.
Especially that I was Googling, like, what's the most dangerous stuff you can buy on Amazon? I'm sure I'm on a different list now. An additional.
You were already on that list.
Probably.
Oh, my goodness. Last week, I went out to start my truck, and the battery was dead. And so I tried jumping. It didn't work. AAA came, and the guy was like, it's almost like somebody set off... oh my gosh, why can't I?
EMP?
Yeah. He's like, it's like your truck, somebody did an EMP. And I was like, oh, that's funny. And he like looks at me and he's like, it seems like it could be a possibility with you.
Wow.
I was like, why?
This guy was spot on, Mandy. How long have you known this guy? 30 seconds?
30 seconds. Yeah, exactly. We open, we're like staring at the battery, and then he says that, and I'm like, well, I mean, because we tried.
Did you have a Flipper Zero like on your seat or something like that?
No, it was in my hand.
No, I had a certain amount of Ryobi tools and extra batteries and a car charge, some other things,
Mandy,
but not that.
The question is, when he said it, did you go, huh? And
well, he said it, and I was like, that is actually what this looks like, isn't it? And he goes, yeah, and I'm like, well,
oh my word,
because there were 2 other occurrences that were odd at the same time, and I'm like, well, I guess in a certain way, this would be more likely with me than probably anybody else right around here.
Were you trying to turn your car into a Mario Kart controller?
I was not, but I wish I were.
Before you move
I
on,
wish.
Before you move on, yes, you can buy Passion natural water-based lubricant on Amazon. They have it in the 16 and 34 fluid ounce combined pack of 1, a 34 fluid ounce pack of 2.
This is so informative.
And a pack of 1 7,040 fluid ounce, which is 55 gallons.
What? It's still.
Yep, you can still get a 55-gallon drum, which is 7,040 fluid ounces, pack of 1.
Wow. Pack of. I like how they call it pack of 1.
It's 18, like, because you need 2. You might need 2 of them. And they don't have a 2-pack.
Right.
So does our buddy Jim need another barrel?
How much is the 55-gallon drum of lube?
It's
on Amazon?
$1,800, and you get free delivery by July 24th.
Wow.
We still have a barrel in the studio.
What's that?
Don't you have a barrel of that in the studio?
Well, that's a faux. It's a hacked. We hacked it.
It's a 55-gallon drum. It just may not be natural water-based lubricant.
It's actually filled with water, and then Larry.
If it wasn't $1,800, I'd have one.
Oh no, it's still on there. Yeah,
you.
Larry printed out the Passion lubricant the sticker logo
flyer,
thing,
yep.
the flyer on it.
Yeah.
I hate to burst everybody's bubble. It's not actually lube. We couldn't afford $1,800.
We didn't spend $800. Yeah, $1,800 buys a lot of new stuff for the studio.
I think
we did not need 55 gallons worth of lube.
Yeah, no, I think we paid $8 for a barrel pump, and the barrel was free.
Yeah,
yeah. So
that's a completely different scale.
Does it come with free refills? Like, if you go through all 55 gallons, I feel like Passion should come out and refill.
Oh my gosh,
I
don't even want to. I was gonna say, you're acting like that's like a big gulp or
Do you
something.
have this funny thing like a tanker truck would show up and be like, hang on a second.
If memory serves, the barrel of that stuff that wound up in Jim's shop was provided to him by Dave Kennedy.
it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave.
Yep.
Back
A
in
lot
the
of money
days
to
when
spend
we
on
did
a
the
prank,
tanker
man.
truck.
I mean,
Yeah.
lots of points there for pranks.
Yep. Also, just know that I don't know if the reviews are still there for it, but the reviews on that were absolutely hilarious. Like, accidentally spilled this in my garage, and now I can park an infinite number of cars in it.
Okay, so the only mental application that comes to mind for this beyond, whatever, is literally like alpine slides.
Oh yeah, for slip and slides and stuff like that.
But, like,
Kids would go flying. They would
Exactly.
Right into space.
In
Launching.
Dude, do you know how fast you'd be going down those alpine slides with that shit? Oh my God.
I know.
You'd be super fast until you hit the first turn, and then you wouldn't be going down the slide. You'd be going down the mountain.
Well, in other things that are ridiculous, because we spent a lot of time
best
on
Mario
time
Kart.
about that. Let's talk about
yeah. So I was serious when I said asked you, Mandy, if you turned your car into a Mario Kart
Right.
controller, because the folks at Pentest Partners did just that, and I had to go watch the video. So I don't know if you hold on. Let me see if I can. So because I was like, what are they doing? I don't understand. The video goes really fast. But they are actually restart this. So it sees in the car moving the wheel and controlling the character in Mario Kart. So they hacked the CAN bus so that you could use your car as the Mario Kart controller.
So they're doing CAN bus interception of steering wheel position and so forth.
Correct.
Good stuff.
And then
That's cool.
They said something about so they said the car still does work and can be driven. So one of my colleagues maneuvered it into the building for the event that they were at. Although we had to remove the wing mirrors, which is pretty funny. And he said no, it would not pass inspection, mainly because the air filter had to be removed to access the car's ECU.
Interesting.
Wait, did
Yeah,
you
that's
watch
great.
this? How long is the video?
4 seconds.
4 seconds.
But
That is so
great
stupid.
demo.
I
Great
mean, it's
demo of
awesome,
CAN bus.
but-
Yeah, great demo of CAN bus hacking stuff. So what's
It
step
is.
2? Find the CAN messages. Yep. Steering, brake, and throttle. Control something and re-architecting.
Python module input events like mouse clicks and RDP session, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I didn't read any of the technical details. But yeah.
Yeah, so find the CAN bus messages. When the CAN bus messages show up on CAN bus for the brake to be depressed, press the button in Mario Kart.
Right. Yeah, that's what the code they wrote. It's
Yep.
basically translating the signals that the car sends over CAN bus when you push the brake, accelerator, and steering wheel, and translate those into the messages that would be needed to send to, I don't know what gaming platform.
So it said that to Super Tux Kart.
Super Tux Kart.
Yep. So it's likely a Linux clone of.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
Still.
Oh, I loved his "it all breaks" thing, just because it turned out after the fact he had a non-thread safe call in there. All you had to do is call the right call, and bam. Although I bet he had to spend a bunch of time tweaking parameters, because it's never that easy, right?
Now he wants to do it with a motorcycle.
If
That,
you
I
don't
think,
to other problems,
fine.
if you don't start the engine, the car shuts down electrical systems after 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a problem.
Well,
if you got access to the ECU, you should be able to change that setting.
maybe.
Can
Maybe.
you change that setting on the fly?
Yeah, can you change it via ODB2?
Mm-hmm.
Via CAN bus, I bet you could. I bet there is a way.
Almost everything is settable through that now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was a fun hacking story.
It is.
That's a good fun.
Larry, Lee, you had stories in there too.
yeah, I did throw a couple in there, yes. One of them you had.
Yeah, we talked about
the
Ruckus.
Ruckus one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what about the Bitcoin depot thing?
Yeah, I always thought that, I've always been
saw this.
fascinated
Sorry.
by that. I've always been fascinated by the people that actually use a Bitcoin ATM in the supermarket. And the
Criminals. I forget who we
Yeah, no,
interviewed, Lee.
Yeah.
Right? We interviewed someone, and they said that the Bitcoin ATMs, the primary purpose is for criminals, like drug dealers.
So and I do believe that. It's just odd that it's located in a low crime city in a major chain supermarket chains member area, right? I mean support area. Just but so it was interesting. When I started looking at this, I'm like, wait, they got compromised, and data was lost. Name, phone number, driver's license, date of birth, address, email address. But because of the financial risk, there's no requirement for them to do any kind of credit monitoring, ID restoration.
Oh, because it's cryptocurrency.
They didn't lose money.
Which we all know, but it's like, how many of those folks? Well, if it's criminals, yeah, of course. But I'm wondering how much. There's got to be some not so criminal elements that got just swept along in the.
Right.
It's like that kind of blows. Oops,
Well,
I
here's
got
the
to
thing.
take this.
Cryptocurrency is not technically money. So
Right, but still, even if it wasn't money, did they lose stuff like name, address, phone number, social security number?
he said that
Yeah,
they did.
it says
I mean,
so.
and if they did, that's like, it doesn't have anything to do with the money. It's about the personal info.
Okay, but tell me the standard that requires them to do monitoring.
Classic example. We got a breach notification just the other day for a healthcare organization here in the state of Rhode Island that got popped,
That's
and
HIPAA.
they're offering credit monitoring, but it's not money.
No,
It's not money.
But that's
Come
HIPAA.
on.
They're
Okay.
under HIPAA. The Bitcoin ATMs are not under FFIEC. They're not under NCUA. They're not under NACHA, National ACH Association. They're not under, they're not. There
That was
is
a lot.
nothing.
That was a lot of acronyms all at
Ooh,
once. Josh.
but if they take a credit,
was.
if they take a credit card to purchase Bitcoin, wouldn't they be under PCI? Where's Jeff when we need him?
You can't use a credit card.
Finally, we're willing to talk about PCI, and he's not.
No, you can't use a credit card to purchase Bitcoin. You can use a debit card,
Okay, so debit card.
not under PCI.
Not a credit card because not.
But so what other regulations would do for
FinCEN, it says they're obliged to comply per applicable FinCEN regulations.
There's not, as far as I know, there's not a FinCEN that requires them to do credit monitoring.
A fin what? Financial what?
Financial FINCEN. It's the Financial Crimes something. I forget.
I see. So you just use all these fancy acronyms, but you don't know what they mean, Josh.
It's the Enforcement
I'm just
Network,
busting your
Financial
stomach.
Crimes Enforcement Network.
They work on everything.
Yeah. Oh, SinFin?
FinCEN.
Vincent.
FinCEN.
Blah, 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 blah.
After a while, you just use the acronyms without caring about what's behind them. You know?
Oh, that's
I
the
know.
thing that makes. Oh, interesting. So, this is what requires financial institutions to report and maintain records of certain financial transactions, particularly those exceeding 10,000 and suspicious transactions. Then, because it's a Bitcoin ATM, wouldn't almost all of them be suspicious?
No, because they're not a financial institution.
Well, but the crypto folks are trying to get legitimized. They're trying to.
The best
become more
ones
mainstream.
on Coinbase are now money service bureaus, MSBs.
Okay.
However, they are not technically financial institutions. There's a difference.
No. What do they call those? Non-standard finance or something
Like
non-traditional.
banks.
Yeah, something like that.
Neobanks, non-bank banks. There's all kinds of names.
It all means.
But wouldn't MSBs use an ISP and an MSSP? I'm just kidding.
Well, if they were smart.
An OSC would use an MSP, potentially an MSSP, but definitely an ISP to get their internet.
And then have to do PCI and have a QSA.
Only if they take cards. And if they need QSA, only if they have more than, I think it's 1 million transactions per month. Or no, 500,000 transactions per month.
Where's Jeff when you need him? The one time we wanted to talk about PCIs, man.
I know. How dare he celebrate his 35th anniversary?
I know.
How dare he?
What an idiot.
He's going to be so mad.
How selfish.
I totally would have ditched that to talk about PCI.
He's prepped for decades for this, and now it's not here.
No,
I just want to say before anything else, Larry, I hate you because I'm currently ordering about $300 worth of stuff off AliExpress.
You're welcome. You get up your game.
I thought you were holding the 55-gallon drum of lube, Josh.
No.
Is it on sale for Prime Day? That's the question.
It is not.
That's okay. I don't need. Never mind. Anyway,
he doesn't even need the 16 fluid ounce, so you can. He
he
makes his own.
Oh,
does anyone know the difference between the T-Deck Plus and the T-Deck Pro?
Ooh, Paul?
one is the e-paper display, and one has an LCD display. Is that true?
There is a T-Deck Pro with the e-paper display.
E-paper display, yep.
But there's also a what's a T-Relay? Is that their
I think that's the one that can be like a mesh-tastic repeater node.
Yeah, repeater or router node, depending.
Yeah. Does it have two radios in it?
Yes, it does. I'm just looking at it. It's got
that's the one we need here in the studio, Larry.
Yeah. Well, actually, you don't. You can do with one. You can do it one, and do one without a screen because it's never going to accept messages. And I think we've probably got some of those things that we could set up a node with already, a repeater or a router node. I was looking at that the other day to see.
Some of them are sitting on the desk right in front of me.
Yeah, exactly. Like you wouldn't want to put one of your T keyboard T decks out there because you'd be a waste of a keyboard and a screen because you're never going to review messages.
Right. But the Heltec, this one right here that I have the wonky 3D printed case for. Yep. I say wonky just because it didn't. The cable for the antenna was a little too long, so when I had to wrap it in there, it didn't want to close all the way. I'm afraid I was pinching it. I didn't want the cable to get damaged. I did manage to get it together, and I think I just need a screw. Is it just one screw? There's just one screw hole in this. So
I've heard that about you.
It also, it's kind of. I'm kind of screwy. I mean, that's goes without saying.
Gray Fox said Pro is e-paper and has the last firmware series. Plus is the regular T-Deck but with a case and comes flashed with the new firmware.
Yeah, that's this one. Right. I got it. It's right here. We showed it on the show last week. Yeah. This is the Pro. Right? Did I get that right? T-Deck Pro is the one that comes with the case.
That's the Plus.
Plus comes with the case.
Yeah.
And then if you get the Plus, I can give you the YouTube video that shows you how to notch out the little antenna thing, and I can send you the link to the antenna that I got for it.
Oh, yeah, that because the internal antenna one is down to $81.
Ooh.
That's not bad. But what's internal antenna B and W?
No idea.
No idea.
There's
Is it B in W or B and W?
No, there's internal antenna B, and there's one with an internal antenna B and an external antenna B, and there's one with an internal antenna W and an external antenna W. I'm not sure what the difference
I wonder if that's a different frequency.
Yeah.
No, they're all 915.
Oh, okay.
No idea.
Someone's Discord notifications
Gray
coming
Fox,
through.
maybe?
It might be mine. I don't know.
No worries.
No, mine's off. It can't be mine.
Oh, speaking of gadgets, now that we're back on gadgets, did you guys see the Crazy Radio 2.0?
Yeah,
no,
it's been out for a long time.
Oh.
The Crazy Radio 2.0 or the Crazy Radio?
Crazy Radio 2 has been out for a while.
It has been out for a while.
I think so, but still, let's talk about it.
Yeah. So long
it's
range.
based on the NRF 52840, which has been out for a long time.
Correct.
Yep.
So is a long range open USB radio dongle, like Larry said, based on the NRF 52840, 20 dBm power amplifier. It can run two different modes. It behaves like a crazy radio PA. What is that?
That's the first original one that they had out.
Oh, and then 2.0 is a new set of protocols that will improve the communication in the ecosystem, and blah 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 blah. So, but you're saying this is not new?
I don't think so.
Yeah, they don't say like a date when it was released. It's hard to figure out sometimes what's new.
Open source firmware?
Yeah.
It's actually really cool.
Yeah.
And there's two flavors. They got flavors.
Yeah, 2 years. See, 2 years.
2 years ago. Okay.
When the code was released.
Crazy Radio is designed to work with their.
So this is new. We got to preface this. New to me. This is new to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So I ordered one.
Oh.
Because why not? Because why not?
They're not that expensive. This is the one from BitBrains, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is. Why not? I mean,
$43. That's not bad.
Hey, look, they've got Linux drivers.
Right?
As if we expected anything less.
Yeah, you'll have fun with that.
I also ordered, speaking of not new stuff, but new to me, I did not have a tie guard, which allows you. tie guard is basically like a bus pirate. Same
concept.
Same concept.
Yeah, multi-protocol hardware hacking tool.
Yes. So we've got a project going on at work that's top secret right now that may or may not use a tie guard. And I'm like, oh, it's like the one hardware hacking thing that I have not purchased. So I went to our friends at Hacker Warehouse, who, by the way, don't sponsor the show, but we love Garrett. And I wanted to give Garrett some business. So I ordered the tie guard for like $50. It's like $50 from, I think it's $49 direct from, what's the company that makes it? Bit something.
Bitwarden?
No,
it's not Bitwarden.
No, it's not. I don't know. I was down a rabbit hole today looking at tie guard stuff, but I ordered it from Hacker Warehouse. So, and then he has a case, a nice acrylic case, clear acrylic case for $20.
Mm-hmm.
But like and I want to give Garrett the business, but also I'm like, I have like 5 3D printers. I should not be buying a case for any of my electronics. I should be 3D printing those, so I'm going to 3D print my case.
Mm-hmm.
So that was exciting.
Until it goes sideways and you just buy the case because it was faster and easier.
Yeah, I know. There's that too. But I'm going to try and stick with it in 3D print. There's some pretty nice designs for the tie guard, because the tie guard's been out for a while. So that is the nice part when you do buy slightly older hardware hacking devices. It gives people more time to create nice designs for cases, so you don't have to design them yourself.
Yep.
Although it is fun to design things yourself. Yeah, I find for me, it's a steep learning curve. Is it just me?
Nope.
Okay.
There's definitely a lot to it.
Okay. I'm getting there very slowly.
So I'm looking down the list of stories and I'm going, Larry, what the hell? Sound Blaster firmware update?
Oh,
I know.
Good call.
I mean, driver update? Who's still got a Sound Blaster that's...
Well, Creative Labs, right?
Yeah.
Right. No, I'm not knocking Creative Labs. I just didn't know that these things were around anymore.
They still make some audio gear. Being an audiophile with all my headphones and they did make gear I was looking at a few years ago. I was like, oh, I didn't know they were still making gear, but they did make some cool, more for gamers. I want to say they made like gaming kind of audio DACs or whatever. But
wait, you mean back in the 90s or now?
No, like today.
Oh, okay.
So the Sound Blaster card hit the market 31 years ago, and there was a recent update that squashed a new bug on an old piece of gear, and that they had received Linux kernel received a bug report after 25 years in 2023 by a user running Fedora 39 on a 120 megahertz Pentium-based machine.
Wow, you can still run Fedora 39 on a. That shows you the power of Linux and how
there are people that
back.
keep these old machines around just to be able to brag. I run Fedora 672 on a
I run Doom on native hardware.
It's the Sound Blaster AWE32 ISA sound card. Just to give you an idea.
God,
how
I had
old
one of those.
The interface is. It was
look at the photo in the article. Yeah,
wow. ISA bus. Yep.
1995. Those were the
okay.
like,
who here had a Sound Blaster 16?
Yeah, that was the card.
I mean, no, that was the one before. It was Sound Blaster 16 was before the AWE32.
It's the AW32, and then it was the Audigy, and those were the three big cards that they had for the longest time.
Yeah, and like I said, they were the gold standard. I dare to say.
Yeah,
And
Absolutely. Unless you had like serious money and were a snob, and then you got Turtle Beach.
well,
But like,
Right.
other than
Yeah.
them, it was Sound Blaster for every normal person.
yeah, and it was. I remember even when I was doing the stuff in the '80s, sound blasters, people were buying them. That was what maybe. Well, anyway, I just remember they were hot stuff.
wow.
Oh yeah, they
The
still
cool
need
kids had them.
Yeah,
Sound Blaster
so-
3 USB sound adapter for Windows, Mac, plug and play, no drivers.
$18.99. Yeah, Creative still makes
USB
gear.
USB sound card. You remember when we were using those iMic adapters?
Yeah.
Yep, I still use
Wow,
It makes
that's
a lot
neat.
of PC speakers, Bluetooth,
Well, good on them.
earbuds. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I don't know how
No.
good their stuff is today. I was looking at one of their devices.
Well, I'm having happy memories with the word, with Creative Labs in the conversation. So I'm good.
I remember buying a sound card at a computer show in person from some crazy Korean guy.
What's a computer show, Josh, for our audience that doesn't remember computer
And
shows?
wait. It gets better. I was lugging my copy of Computer Shopper at the time. Does everybody remember?
Oh
Of
my
course they
god,
were.
that was like that was my Bible for how long?
Oh my
Was that
God.
like a catalog? It was like a catalog, right?
It was
No.
it was a huge freaking catalog of mail order companies you could get computer parts from,
Yeah.
and some articles, but you never read it for the articles, just like
other publications.
Not like Playboy. You definitely didn't read it for the articles.
So
Yeah.
that was
And it
long
was
enough
like
ago that I think some of us are trying to envision Josh with hair.
Aw.
like it was like 300 pages.
Yeah.
It was like a phone book.
Bless
An
your heart,
oversized
kid.
phone book. Like, yes. So
I do
explain
remember
a computer show, Josh.
I
It
bought a
was where-
Sound Blaster 60, my first Sound Blaster 16 card at a computer show
And
from
what
a
is
crazy
computer show?
Korean guy. And I'm like, is this a real Sound Blaster 16? And I mean, don't get me wrong. It didn't come in a box. He just had a stack of them, like,
Yep.
and I'm like, I'm sure this is a fake and it's going to blow up as soon as I get home. And he goes, no, find me here every week. And it was like, find me here every week. Just get your money back if it doesn't work, or I'll give you another one.
Yep, and they
Yeah.
were legit. They were totally
Yeah,
legit
it
because
works.
they were buying them wholesale and splitting them up and doing huge group buys, and like they got what would now be the Amazon frustration free packaging.
Yep.
Yeah, because there wasn't any
There
packaging.
was no
Exactly,
packaging. You
exactly,
just bought, Yeah,
exactly.
you went to a computer show. I mean, there was maybe CompUSA at the time,
Yep,
but there wasn't Micro Center, maybe.
Best Buy.
Best Buy. I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah,
I don't
Best Buy
think so.
didn't have a lot of PC stuff back in the
Nope.
day,
No,
but
still don't.
before,
PC
a lot
Richards
of-
and Circuit City.
yeah, it was Circuit
Circuit
City.
City, yeah.
Yes, but you'd go to a computer show. That's where you'd find used gear. I mean, this is like
and new
maybe
gear
before-
cheap.
and new gear cheap. Yeah, before
Like if you
before
want
Amazon,
if you
before
wanted to build a computer, you went to a computer show where a bunch of vendors hauled all this stuff
Mhm.
into like a gymnasium or an auditorium
Mhm.
type of thing, and they set up tables, and you went around and you found the best price on whatever you were searching for, and you walked around this thing all day. Ask me how you know this.
it was kind of like the MIT flea market.
Yeah.
No,
then
no,
I was
you
just
bought
going
it.
to say,
Then-
wasn't it like,
it's-
or at flea markets or
parts
were indoor swap meets
Yeah.
Mm.
on the West
Yeah.
Coast? Like, yeah.
It was the real life version of PC Parts Picker.
Yeah.
And you would literally like buy something and then be like, okay, I can't get that case. That won't fit in. Let me get this case instead. You on the fly built a computer.
Yep.
Oh,
It
yeah.
kind of reminded me, who was the surplus electronics vendor that they used to have in the DEF CON vendor
Unix
area
Surplus.
all the time? Unix Surplus.
Yes,
Like that was a
Oh.
computer show,
correct.
but with new and used gear. I still
come
have
on.
stuff that I bought from Unix Surplus.
Well-
They still sell good stuff. They still have, they buy container loads of servers. You can get a server for nothing from them. It's
I think
ridiculous.
that weird device that we've had on the set forever over Larry's left shoulder that you can't see now because Larry turned the other shoulder. Yeah, that thing right there in front of the lamp.
The tunable discriminator.
Yeah, I think I got that from the Unix, whatever it is, Unix place.
Nice.
And there's a Facebook group, Hacker Classifieds.
Oh yeah.
And there's one guy that occasionally puts the weird, like he had World War II landing lights in there a while back. And I'm like, that'd be cool, but no.
Imagine a world where every threat, ransomware, supply chain attacks, zero-day exploits is stopped before it can even begin. ThreatLocker makes that world a reality with a zero-trust approach to cybersecurity. By giving you granular control on every executable that can happen in your environment, ThreatLocker protects your business around the clock. No more guessing, no more gaps. Just rock-solid protection that keeps your operations running smoothly and your data secure. Discover how ThreatLocker's least privilege approach can safeguard your organization against known and unknown threats. Take the first step towards total peace of mind. Visit securityweekly.com/ThreatLocker today.
Yeah.
So going back to your story, Larry,
Yeah.
this person has an older Sound Blaster card and they updated the driver?
Yep, they got a bug report after 25 years, and it was not security related or anything like that, but it was about how DMA modes were
direct memory
used.
access.
Yep. For to help avoid lockups or ugly noises emanating from the output of the sound card when DMA was either disabled or changing modes.
You can plug an ISA card into USB, according to this. ISA was now we're going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
ISA over USB adapter that allows a monocomputer to work with older expansion cards. Dude, that's crazy.
Oh man.
Yikes. So,
Love Hackaday just for all the craziness, right?
Your story about the Unix supply place reminded me of when we were a number of years ago. It had to be at least 10, maybe 15 years ago. We were doing something for my daughter's computer up in Seattle, and we went to a couple stores and we're finally like, is there a frickin' Fry's Electronics in this burb? And there was. And they had exactly what we needed.
Yep. There's always did. Now they're gone. Sucks.
Yeah.
Micro Center is one of the few. I mean, there's one in Cambridge, in Boston.
What
That's
was
the one I go to, but that's like an hour drive for me. In usually, I mean, if you don't time it right, very heavy traffic.
Right.
Yep.
It's weird. Like I enjoyed, like one of the things every year when we go to Hacker Summer Camp was we'd stop at the Whole Foods and the Fry's.
Yeah.
And pick up snacks and stuff for the week at the Whole Foods and
snacks and chips.
Random electronics at Fry's. Fry's is very similar to Micro Center. Yeah.
Yep. You pick up snacks and chips.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, chips
you know
and
what's funny?
chips.
Yes, chips
and
yeah.
chips.
And dips, maybe some dip switches and dips for your chips.
A little wax in the nipples.
But is there a store? I want to ask Larry this. Is there a store in Rhode Island where you can buy 3D printer filament?
Yes, it's called Amazon.
Yeah. There is no physical store in Rhode Island. You have to go all the way to Cambridge, Massachusetts, which I say all the way, it's far because of traffic, to Micro Center if you want to buy filament in a store.
So actually, wait, stop for a second. If you want to see weird gadgets in large quantities and are able to play with them, there's a few places you can go. One of them is obviously the studio where Larry and Paul bring armloads of weird shit to the studio.
Clearly.
We do have a lot of weird shit.
The other one, and this is sort of a story, so forgive me, but the other one...
The other one is the Amazing Superstore, but they usually frown upon you playing with them first.
Yes.
The other one is actually JohnCon in Philadelphia, or near Philly.
JohnCon, yep.
JohnCon is a great conference, and they have, like the first year, they had a teletype, an actual frigging teletype, with an AI transcription agent transcribing all the talks, and they had to shut it off because it was so loud they couldn't hear the talks.
Yep. The badge at JohnCon last year was like a radio modem.
It was an actual like Hayes modem, I think.
And it wasn't. It was controlled via Hayes AT command set, and you connected to the network by using like the old school ATDT and that type of stuff. And it was electronics, and it had LEDs on it, and the case was printed, and it just looked like a miniature Hayes modem.
It was awesome. And
wow, that's pretty wild. But that was the first JohnCon, right?
Yep,
JohnCon 1.
Was that the second JohnCon or the first?
It might have been
JohnCon?
Second one.
I think it was the second one had the badge. So I'm eager to see what they come up with this year. I'm going to be helping a little bit with JohnCon, hopefully more than a little bit, and that's because the gentleman in charge of it is not going to be doing as much this year. He has made it public, but his wife has got some medical issues, and so he's having to step back a little bit. But the good news is, if you want to come to JohnCon, the lady in charge of it is Heidi now.
Really?
Ooh.
Wow.
So Heidi runs a really good conference,
Yeah.
I've heard.
So I can do nothing but recommend JohnCon. Hint, hint. Paul's showing up.
Yes.
Well, I have to get my permission slip signed, but Josh and I have already scoped out my travel.
Yes.
Yes.
And Larry can just grab the train
When
with you
is
for
it?
$40.
It's in Philadelphia, like the second week in October. I forget
10th through 11th.
Yeah, 10th and 11th.
Larry's
I was like,
train seat right next to him and just walk.
Yeah, I was like, dude, hackers on a train, man. Like, so I was like, the last time I flew to Philadelphia was for the cybersecurity marketing conference.
Yeah.
And I was like, it wasn't bad. I mean, I had to fly, so there's that. But I'm like, the planes from Providence to Philadelphia are like these tiny little planes, and you don't get, there's not as many flights as there used to be.
Yep.
There used to be a ton of flights. Now there's not as many because probably not a lot of people are flying back and forth between Providence and Philadelphia. So you have these tiny planes, not as many slots of time to fly in. And the plane coming home, I had to walk like 300 feet in the rain to my plane. This is like a Philadelphia airport, right? I had to walk 300 feet in the rain, duck like a lot to get into my plane and sit in this tiny little seat. And Josh is like, going to come back to Philadelphia. I'm like, yeah, but we got to find a better way for Paul to travel there because flying was just awful. And so it would train. Train is, what did we say it was? 4 hours?
$46 or something?
4 hours, 45 minutes. Nice. And the cost was way less.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's civilized. You have a really comfy seat. There's normally a dining car where you can buy halfway decent food.
Do they have a donut car?
No.
I was recently speaking with somebody who was talking about going first class on trains because of the donut cars.
I don't think they have a donut car, but they do have a bar car, typically. Okay, so...
And so much for my idea of suggesting Paul get his private pilot's license.
Yeah, right. He won't get it in time, but... So here's the only.
I can drive a boat, but I can't drive a boat to Philadelphia.
Here's the only issue that I have with John Con, and Josh, steer me wrong here. For me to go out there for John Con, and this is probably the only reason why I hadn't. It's a Thursday Friday con.
Yes,
which is fine. It starts at 10 a.m. on Thursday and ends at 4 p.m. on Thursday.
So what's the Friday?
Wait, Friday.
No, Friday.
No,
Friday.
It ends at 4 p.m. on Thursday. Technically 5 p.m. if it's an hour-long slot at the top for the talk. It resumes at 10 a.m. on Friday.
Okay.
And the last talk is at 2:30 p.m.
Yeah.
So it's not many hours.
No, it's not that many hours. You're correct.
So Friday's a travel day.
That's
because of the 2:30 thing. That's usually they end early for travel.
Travel, yeah.
Yep.
I haven't been to this one, but I've seen that before.
Yeah, to me, that's the only reason I'd love something with a little bit longer in the day, but I suspect that this is due to the venue.
Yeah, it's the college.
It's the operating college hours that during the summer or during the fall semester for the college, when folks are available. And I haven't been, but I don't know what sort of like con space is like just because of.
Oh, it's in the student center of the college.
Oh, okay, all right.
A lot of classrooms, and there's a big, huge common area that everybody sets up all kinds of fun gadgets. There was a military telephone system last year. There was more Amigas and weird old computers that I'd never seen before that you could shake a stick at. And you could buttonhole Busy Signal or Dragorn or Russ in 30 seconds to talk for an hour or two, which is kind of awesome. Because and Wasabi and most of the Wireless Village crew is there. It is so much fun. It is actually an old school hacker conference. You need to be there, Larry. You need to be there, and you need to talk.
Looks like all the slots are filled already, though.
What is is it John? John?
Jawn.
It's the Philly John. Hey, what you doing with that John?
Okay, that makes more sense.
So this will be the third John Con.
Okay, I thought it was the second. It's the third.
It is the second. Well, it is Hex 2, but you start counting at 0.
In decimal, it's the third.
Right.
It's the third iteration of John Con.
Three?
It would technically be John Con 2 in decimal,
3.
but the first one is John Con 0, and then John Con 1, and then John Con 2.
Okay, I'm going to make him start counting in Middle Endian. Okay, stop it.
Hey, the CFO doesn't close until 9/1.
When did I wanted to change gears and ask the question: when did we start hearing about these TikTok shops? All of a sudden, my kids started saying they wanted to buy stuff from TikTok.
I've been buying on it.
Well, I saw something about that today.
They got really popular recently. I feel like, right?
I feel like it's been building for few years, but
I just bought an
I guess they
Anker
have.
mystery box, so I'm going to be getting some battery and some chargers. I don't even know what I'm getting because they're like,
Interesting. So you buy stuff from these TikTok
yeah,
shops.
absolutely. I buy off the TikTok shop because look, it's like, well, that's interesting. Click, click, done. It's at my house.
Oh, I was wondering what the hook was. Yeah,
They're
they built a shopping experience into TikTok. Unlike many other social networks, you have to leave the social network to go do the transaction and buy something.
Oh no, it's right. It's right on the.
So
It's actually really smart.
the seller
But
is
isn't
in the
this-
house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good one.
The call is coming from inside the house. The video is coming from inside the house.
They've also built a very smart move, which is they have a very quick way for you to start making money. If you have even close to a 500 or 1,000 followers, I think it is, they'll start asking you, "Hey, would you like to?" If they see
up
you're
shop.
sort of a niche, would you like to sell this? If you do a video promoting it, you make $3 on every sale, $5 on every sale, $20 on every sale, whatever it is. So it's really quick to get influencers.
I always thought it was kind of shady, but you're not painting the picture that it's shady.
See, that's what I always feel like it's kind of or it's just that, well, it's not great products and it's.
Is it like Temu? I put it in the same bucket as Temu.
No, it's not. Look, Anker is Anker is the best chargers out there on the market. I buy them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cables.
I know, Anker,
And best cables. Yeah, and they have like really, really cool. Some of it is crap. Don't get me wrong, absolutely. But there's a lot of really good stuff on there. That's name brands that are just there because they are. It's a very quick way to get stuff out the door.
Yeah.
They make a lot of sales very fast. It's incredibly low sales friction. I literally look at something, go, that's interesting, and I realize I've bought it. Like it's
so
like
you just have to think about buying it, and TikTok interfaces with your brain, and you just purchase it.
You ever been to Walt Disney World? Disney World, and you have the band, and you're just like, oh, that looks cool, and it's yours.
Yeah.
They take the sales friction out. It's exactly the same way. You literally
Very
go.
smart.
But
There's
that's
always
the
little
same thing on
bar.
why Bezos has all the money, because that's what he figured out how to do.
Yep.
Right.
One-click
But I thought
shopping
that-
on Amazon. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I thought that's
There's
why
a bar
X was.
on the video, and you're like, oh, that's interesting, and you click the bar, and all of a sudden, boom, it's there. You hit one button, and it's at your house.
So it's interesting. This person bought these earbuds from a TikTok shop, I believe. They are ICO Active Buds, AI-powered earbuds. He has them running Doom, and he stole their open API key and customer data.
Oh, Jesus.
In the article details, you can see Doom running there on the earbuds. He paid 245 euros.
Oof.
What is 245 euros in?
It's close to $245.
Okay,
Yeah.
they're pretty
About
close,
1-to-1.
right?
Yeah, it's
Pretty
real
close,
close
yeah.
one
Yeah.
to one.
So he's got these AI-powered earbuds. I mean, they look like legit in the packaging. They look like pretty cool. Like you've got a screen, and you can long press to chat with Chat GPT. What the researcher figured out, though, is that by reverse engineering, I believe it figured out it was running Android. I believe by reverse engineering the Android app or Android itself.
Oh no, ADB was enabled.
But they left ADB enabled as root. I believe the article states.
Yeah, so
it must be root because you can sideload. I think you have to be root to sideload apps. Is that true? I think so. I think it might. There might be some other settings it depends on.
But either way, with
root-
ADB, the world is your oyster.
The
at this
world,
point.
yeah, you can do whatever you want with the device, which is nice. But yeah, he used Jadix.
Yep.
Jadix is a great Android app reverse engineering tool, and was basically pulling out like, oh look, here's where they're connecting to OpenAI API, and oh look, here are all of the keys that they're using. Install all of their API keys for Chat GPT. That's great. And then they had different modes. You could do Angry Dan and In Love Dan, and Angry Dan is the version of Chat GPT that swears at you, apparently, which is pretty funny. And yeah, hack these earbuds. So sideload apps, the key. Oh, and then by abusing the API, he figured out he could get customer data as well. I said this is what you get when you order a product from a TikTok store.
Yeah.
But apparently what Josh was telling me is some of the stuff is legit through these TikTok stores.
No matter
I'm
where
sure
you're
there
buying
is some that's
online.
legit, but I think the overall. I'm sorry, Lee. The
Go, go,
overall
go.
is sorry. The overall idea I get is usually it's that the people who are running the shops, it's janky material.
It's like it gives me Temu vibes.
Right.
This is like a product you would get on Temu.
But I'm sure there's some that is very
AI-powered
legit.
earbuds. But these are kind of expensive. I mean, $245 for earbuds.
Why do your earbuds need to be AI powered?
Well, just because you can.
Just so they're talking
Right.
to you directly? I mean, why?
So you can prompt. Well, I wonder if. So I was having this thought today, sitting there doing my daily work, and I'm like, I want to prompt AI and ask it this question, right? And I forget what I was. Oh, I was comparing the Citrix Bleed 1 and 2 exploits, and I'm like, I just want to be able to say it. I just want I don't want to have to go to an app and type stuff in, or even click the microphone button. Like, I just want something that I can just say it and have it talk back to me. I want to talk to my computer, right? And people have built systems like this. I'm guessing that was the concept behind the earbuds. Is if you have them in, you do like a little swipe on your screen on the earbud case, and you go, "Hey, tell me what's the difference between Citrix Bleed 1 and Citrix Bleed 2."
Paul,
And
in
it
your
reads it back to
brain,
you.
why is that easier than pressing the microphone? Like,
don't
you're
know.
still pressing the thing with the earbuds. Like, you still have to
I mean, this
press.
is technology we've had. Like, you can prompt any of the NLP, voice assistant things to do this thing.
And the voice assistant, if you use an Echo, there's Hey Chat GPT.
Oh, is there now?
Yep.
Right.
There's an what is it called? An add-on there.
Yeah, because Google. So I have the Google smart home devices in my house still, and when I ask it stuff, I'm like, give me the marine forecast for tomorrow in Narragansett Bay, and it gets really confused about that. I'm like, why is that such a hard question? I don't understand. Like, you go to the
Because it's
NOAA
looking for where the
website.
Marines are landing.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like it gets very confused. I'm like, why is this so hard? I feel like this should be easier. But
It told me earlier, so I was trying to descale an older Keurig machine. And
Vinegar.
Yes, I know that part.
see, we need an AI that's Ask Josh.
Hey, Jay, ask Josh.
It's like Ask Jeeves, but Ask Josh.
And 3 times when I asked how to descale it, every time it said to unplug the machine and then wait for the light on the descale option to come on. I'm like, how is that possible?
How is that?
Like, there's
It's
no-
battery powered. You didn't know there was battery backup in your
Exactly.
Keurig,
Like,
did you?
what is possibly inside this Keurig 2.0 that is like going to power internally? Nothing.
Okay, there is a no power option for doing certain things.
It's wireless power. It's like
In
Tesla
the
wireless
coffee
power.
carafe,
Is it?
you
Really?
use ice and salt. Okay, but for
Is it
unplugged-
potato
And
power?
and a nickel and a little bit of copper wire. Yeah, it's potato power, Mandy. That's exactly it.
It got the potato power from the pantry.
Bang the dime down, stack it with paper towel soaked in vinegar.
Clearly, Mandy has read Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins.
Have not, but thank you.
So
They do
Why don't we-
potato power.
I'm going to have to bail in a couple minutes. Can we talk about Larry's number 4?
Is that the passport one?
Oh, whack a disc. We got to talk about whack a
Whack-A-Disc.
disc.
Okay, yeah.
Whack
Hey,
a disc is
hey! This is a family show.
There's an
not
S
that
in
kind
there.
of. It's not. It's a disc, and it's not that kind of whacking.
I mean, you guys need one of these for your studio, for crying out loud.
Oh, yeah,
No,
let's
you
see.
need
Aw,
we need this.
that's adorable.
We need this for John Con, is what we need.
Okay. You got to watch the video. It's 45 seconds of this thing in action.
But
It
it's
is
like
crazy.
it's like whack-a-mole. It's like whack-a-mole, but with floppy disks.
Right. And no mallet.
And depending, you may actually, it will either eject the disk for you, or you may need to eject the disk first before you reinsert it. 2, 1, go. Boink! Some disks come out. You have to eject them. Some of them automatically eject.
Oh, wow.
That is
It's going really
just-
fast.
And they have varied the ejection force. So sometimes the disk pops all the way out, and you have to go find it and plug it right into the right place
Oh,
again.
I see that. Yeah.
Totally not security related, but
It is.
seems like the episode for old technology. So
Hey, I want one. I mean, come on. That would be fun.
there's a disk.
How much are
fine.
you really ever going to use that?
Oh, once.
Exactly.
Then it goes in the museum.
Yeah, spend 60 hours building it and use it once for about 3 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah. Well,
But still,
I mean, that's actually something that might be fun for like a computer museum kind of hands-on exhibit.
I agree.
Yeah.
Hey,
There's a
Lee,
computer
what-
museum like literally a few hundred yards from the studio, which I still
Lee,
haven't
did you
been
see the
to.
first comment on this thing on Hackaday?
Yes,
Much
I
of the
like
world's
that.
nuclear weapons arsenals don't use 3.5 floppies. They use 8-inch floppies.
I
We
like
talked about that years ago on the show. Yep.
Oh, that's a
There was an
throwback to
episode
that
we called
upgrade.
8-inch
Yeah.
floppy.
I love it.
Yes.
That's not the movie we show at John Con, okay? Just to be clear.
No. So anyway, I just thought that was bloody hilarious, and I could, like I said, I could see you guys having one in the studio or somewhere else. By the way, part of the thing about the museum connection is, as late I've been spending time as a museum ambassador at the Idaho State Museum, and all the stuff they have for interaction for the young folks, and occasionally seeing some of those displays break and seeing just what computers under the covers, which they keep locked in a secure room so that I can't go fix them. And I'm okay with that. The volunteers are, but it is amazing how the shit they hook together for those interactive displays. Yeah, I mean, respect. And these things are, I don't think they're Windows 10 all the time. They might be, but
Ever.
but they just work, right? And then,
Yep.
and you see that they have some, remote control software for folks that want to administer them remotely, and they are patching them. So, hey, I'm not gonna throw in these aspersions. I'm just always amazed that they work under all the abuse. You ever see kids play with an exhibit?
oh yeah.
Don't hit the button so hard, dear. And or kids crawling on a touchscreen display. They have this big set of monitors. It's a river and it has stuff you can do it. But yeah, parents will set their kids on it for real.
Oh my God.
And it's
I want.
and the freaking things last. They don't break very much. Really, I'm impressed.
Well, we use industrial quality stuff because you know that museums have like metrics. They can tell how popular a display is by how many what nose from glass.
Okay, I got to ask them about that one. That is, I know they have metrics on how many volunteers are in which museum, and they actually have to turn that into a dollar amount to show the value return for their efforts, which is cool. And the math and all that. We have a presentation once a year from one of the volunteer directors on that. It's like, holy crap. It's cool. By the way, the most popular space is the old Idaho Penitentiary. That has the most volunteer hours of all of them.
Huh.
It's probably because the BDSM club next door.
Could be.
I wanted to go back
Anyway.
to Bluetooth earbuds. Larry, you had a story on Aroha based Bluetooth headphones and earbuds. Aroha.
It's not Aloha. It's Aroha.
There's a cigar brand.
Aroha Oi.
There's a cigar brand family called Aroha. And I guess you could spell it. It's not spelled the same way.
Yep.
It's like EIR whatever. But Aroha. It just sounds to me like the cigar brand.
It sounds like Aloha, but air in the beginning.
Air in
instead
the
of
beginning.
Aloha.
Christian Aroha is actually the son in the family that picked up the cigar brand, and the name sounded familiar.
Yeah.
But this
so for the native Islander, Lee, how would you pronounce that?
Aroha.
Oh,
See, that just sounds like
Aroha.
You're kind of
You should pronounce every letter if it's Hawaiian. A-E-O-U. So, A-E-Roha. Aroha. Aroha.
okay.
I think it sounds a little bit like English.
English,
Yes.
yeah.
There's a lot of affected devices on this list.
Yeah.
Larry.
And I thought some of this was kind of interesting. And Paul, I noticed that there was a bunch of Sony headphones in here, and I know you've got some sort of
This
higher
one
end
right-
Sonys.
This one right here, I have WH-1000X M4, super popular.
Yep.
I forget
Yeah.
WH and WH and WF. I forget the one is an over the ear, one is an earbud. Maybe I think that's the difference between the WF and the WH. WH are over the ear, WF is in ear, and I definitely have the MX4s.
Yep.
Didn't you
I
also
didn't
have
even know there
Stanmore?
was-
You didn't even know there was a 5 and a 6?
I knew there was a 5. I didn't know there was a 6.
Interesting.
So it
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me they're continuing line because they're super, super popular.
And they're super nice, too, from what
They are, yeah. They're
There's a
actually
Bose
really
in
nice.
there. I mean, holy crud.
There's a Bose. I don't have the Bose Quiet Comfort earbuds.
Don't you have some of the Marshall ones?
I had the Bose Quiet Comfort.
I don't have any of the Marshall ones.
Then it's somebody else. I was thinking I knew somebody that had some. Those names are jumping out as familiar.
Yeah, there's some.
I have the Bose Quiet Comfort, but I don't think we've ever talked about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the upper one, Paul, there's another one there. Speaking of funny names, could you scroll up a little bit more on that screen?
Oh, Bear Dynamic?
No, the Iris Max.
Yeah.
Sounds like a personal problem.
Yeah. Sounds like they make a pill for that, but in any case.
I have Bear Dynamic, but they're over the ear, not in ear. It's not an Amaron 300. I have a different Bear Dynamic. They make really nice headphones too.
I had JBL something, but I don't think it was either of those.
Yeah. So
what was the vulnerability?
So what they note here, in short, these devices expose a powerful custom protocol that allows manipulating the device. For example, reading and writing RAM or reading and writing to the flash. And it was exposed via BLE GATT services to an unpaired.
What is the GATT service? We talked about that.
So it's the connection, not the connection management. It's the protocol for being able to send to and from the device.
Okay.
Also,
like management traffic, not like audio, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct. So it's also exposed via RFCOM, effectively via serial port, via Bluetooth Classic. And it has missing, it says, which I find is irony, it says missing authentication for Bluetooth Classic allows an attacker to use this protocol without pairing to the device.
Oh, interesting.
Bluetooth
Classic.
Pairing? Without pairing. So looking at,
because it's on an open frequency and it's always listen. It's always
is it always listening? The two first CVEs that they have here are missing authentication for GATT services and missing authentication for Bluetooth BR EDR. It's in the vulnerability description section.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't exactly say, especially when we come to CV 2025-2701, missing authentications for Bluetooth BR EDR. I wouldn't exactly
say... What is BR EDR?
Bluetooth Classic.
Okay.
I wouldn't exactly say it's missing.
So it's short range. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is not so much that it is missing. It is that they have chosen not to use it. So Bluetooth has 3 modes for security, and you typically only Bluetooth Classic has 3 modes for security, and you typically only see 2 of them. Yeah, there's Mode 1, Mode 2, and Mode 3. Mode 1 has no authentication and no encryption. Mode 3 has authentication and encryption. Mode 2 is a little bit in between.
Mm-hmm.
You almost never see Mode 2. It's always either Mode 1 or Mode 2. Mode 1 is a perfectly valid way of doing Bluetooth Classic communication with no authentication and no encryption.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't exactly say it's missing. It's just that they've chosen not to implement it.
Implementing a mode in the specification that doesn't require authentication.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what they've done. And quite honestly, this is missing authentication or using a Mode 1 service that doesn't require it as part of the spec. Mm-hmm. This is what we saw years ago with, there was like a blue BLE jack or something. I think it was blue BLE jack or not blue BLE jack because low energy didn't exist. It was like blue jacker.
Blue jacker?
Something like that. And it was an exploit against an older set of Nokia phones, like an 8810, where the cellular modem was exposed via RFCOM serial port in Mode 1. So if you did a scan while something was in discoverable mode, you could connect to the device and start sending AT commands to the modem, to the cellular modem, and force the cellular modem to dial phone numbers without any interaction from the user.
I think I remember that. Is this the Nokia phones that people use as like hammers?
It's a similar line. It's a little bit different.
Sure, okay.
It's a little bit different. And I remember back in the day, this is, you talk about back in the day, I was working for healthcare org. I bought a used one of these off of eBay, and it showed up and it had not been wiped. And the battery worked, turned it on, it had a pin and I couldn't unlock it. I don't know if you remember this story. It had a pin and I couldn't unlock it. So basically I couldn't use the phone, but it was still vulnerable to these attacks. And one of the sets of AT commands that you could issue was to dump the phone book. So you could connect to the phone, you could make it dial phone numbers, and that was one of the demos that I used to do at the healthcare org. I would go outside of the conference room and I would tape the phone outside the window Like, there's no way I can physically touch this thing. And then I would make the phone. I would connect to it, and I would make the phone call someone's cell phone in the audience.
Oh my God, that's
over Bluetooth.
Awesome demo.
Yeah. So also did it to dump the phone book, and turns out I could dump the phone book, and there was a bunch of entries in it. And I started calling these numbers to say, "Hey, do you know who owns this phone?" And they gave me the name of the guy and a new phone number for the guy, and I ended up calling him, and he gave me the PIN for it. He was a.
How did I have never heard this story?
He was a land guy in Texas that was one of the guys that was responsible for doing land leasing and land acquisitions for oil companies in Texas.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
They have a show about that. It's called Landman.
Yeah. I've watched a couple of those on an airplane, and it's a freaking fantastic show.
And did you see the guy in the documentary? Because that would be epic.
I don't. I have slept so many times that I couldn't begin to tell you what his name was.
Yeah.
And I used to have it documented in some slide decks and stuff that I'd given, and those are
I know. I hear you. Yep.
Those are long gone. But so missing authentication.
I love that he gave you the PIN though.
Yeah, He was like, I bought this thing off of eBay used, and it's locked with a PIN, and I traced it down to you being the old owner. Can you give me the PIN? Oh yeah, it's this. Thanks, it works.
Wow, why would he give you the PIN? Just
because it's not his phone anymore.
It's not his phone anymore. Doesn't care. Doesn't think about the security implications.
I mean, you already had the phone book at that point, so
right?
You already had all of his data.
Just being a helpful
what other
Texan.
data's on the phone, right?
What was that, Mandy?
Just being a helpful Texan.
Yeah. Yep. So in any case, and in similar types of things, you can missing authentication for GATT services, effectively the same connectivity for Bluetooth Low Energy. Same thing, mode 1, mode 3. If it's using a PIN, it's mode 3. If it's not using a PIN, it's
so Bleedly has the same
similar concept. Yeah. Now, arguably, the bigger one with Bluetooth Low Energy that is also hilarious is that you can be using mode 3 with encryption and authentication. What? Requires a PIN, but you know what? In many cases, that PIN is used through a function known as just works. Meaning you connect with authentication and you connect with and you have some encryption for your data in transit, but it just works. You don't have to enter a PIN every time. Do you know why?
It just works.
Because the PIN's always 000.
The PIN's always 6 zeros.
Yeah.
Yep. So effectively, mode 3 with just works is just as effective as mode 1.
Mode 1, right?
Yeah.
That's 3/4 of the nuclear codes.
Yeah, all zeros.
8 zeros was the nuclear codes for like 50 years.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. So, yeah, the bigger one here is they just didn't implement security. The bigger one here is the CV25 20,702 is the custom protocol that they implemented that allowed to read write to memory and flash of the device with this custom protocol.
So you could reflash.
You could just you could read from memory. Like if you are sending to the device what song is playing, you could read from the headphones what song somebody was playing. It also allowed you to recover any keys for that encryption, for the mode 3 encryption, meaning you could recover the keys, meaning if you were able to capture traffic, you could decrypt that traffic and you could decrypt phone calls. So let's say I was using my headphones as a headset to do phone calls. You could, in near real time, you could also do some disconnection, and with those keys, you could also effectively do intercept.
So you get a copy of the data?
You could, with a little bit of work, and what I'm reading here, you could be machine in the middle for a phone call. So you could do real-time intercept if you're using these headphones paired to a phone for a phone call.
So what do you do if you have one of these devices?
I don't know. I'm so curious. Question. Did you look at, like, it says at least one vendor mitigated the CVEs, but they don't know if it was done on purpose or by accident.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you have an answer. There's at least one who has done it.
June 4th, Iroha supplies device manufacturers an SDK update with mitigations. Manufacturers start developing and shipping patches for their products. So patch your headphones.
Update your firmware on your headphones.
Good grief.
Yep.
A lot of those headphones will have an app that will also handle the firmware updating.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even when patches exist, not all device manufacturers push updates, especially for lower cost or end of life products.
Yeah, because some of the devices on that list are lower. It's interesting being a headphone audiophile guy. Some of them are higher end, and some of them.
Yep. I bet the
Like
Iris
the-
Max one is a lower end.
Iris Max sounds like a lower end. Jabra
Iris-
Elite's kind of in the middle.
Iris Maximus.
Yeah,
Arius Maximus.
Yep.
interesting.
What's your name? Dicketh.
Iris Maximus.
All right, goodness.
Larry, what was the deal with the passports? What do you find?
Oh, there wasn't a lot of answers in this one, which was kind of frustrating. Well, I mean, there were a lot of answers here, and effectively that it was really hard to do because it does require a password to be able to remotely read the passport.
And these are UK passports?
No, I believe they were US.
I thought they were US,
passports.
but-
Yeah, I believe they were US passports. And
Yeah.
the password is made up of the passport number, date of birth, and the expiration date, and a checksum of those. So the password is needed to read it. You could brute force it, but it takes a really long time. To what point? If you're trying to read the passport via NFC, you likely have the passport in your possession,
Correct.
which if you were to open it,
You would see the same information.
you will have the same, you would see the same information. You also have everything you need to do to construct a key.
Wait, so what else? Because he's saying that realistically, you aren't going to be able to crack the MRZ to read someone's passport. But if you
Yep.
need to gather personal information, so is that the personal information you would gain is just what you said the password was comprised
Yep.
of?
Yep.
Okay.
So he created a script to do some brute forcing and so forth. The bigger one that I wanted to know is what NFC reader was he using to do this with? And he didn't tell us.
It's not the. Okay, so what is
No.
MRTD reader?
Yep, an NFC that beeped.
It looks like a software package. It's a GitHub repo.
Yep.
Machine readable travel documents such as passports usually contain an RFID chip. And
Okay.
there's a library that was put on GitHub about 10 or 11 years ago that allows you to do that.
So
According
NFC tools was one of the other ones which haven't been updated in forever.
Right. But I bet you can use what is the white?
The
what is that
ACR
called?
122U.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like a panel,
Yep,
USB
the
connected
the
panel.
ACR 122U.
Yep. I have one
Uh,
of those.
Pi Passport is available for Python, only available for Python 2. Digital Logic's ePassport software only works with their hardware readers, and an Android reader works, but he wanted to do it on Linux, not Android.
Well, you're
There
basically
you
saying
have it.
everybody has touched this, has stopped touching it because they're bored with it 5, 10
Pretty-
years.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
Because
Pretty much.
e-passports were a big thing. As I was trying to, e-passport I think is a global standard, right?
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, there's HSPD 12, which is your ID card, which rolls into the and that's the real ID thing is based on HSPD 12, and then the passport is I think it's a UN thing. I'm not 100% certain, but it's basically it's a global standard, so that any country's customs can read your passport.
Yep. So I mean, even still, I think it's still pretty fascinating, pretty interesting, and that this has been stuff that has been going on forever. I mean, this was my first foray into getting on stage at ShmooCon at like ShmooCon 2.
Yeah.
Because Adam Laurie, Major Malfunction, wrote some tools, RF RF
he
Idiot.
cloned you live on stage at ShmooCon.
Yep, RFID IoT or RF Idiot to do RFID cloning. That could be why he go down this RFID route, because he wanted to read what the data was on his RFID card and his UK passport,
Yes.
and no one had ever done it
Right.
because it was new.
It was new. What happened to Adam Laurie?
He's the director. He's what
Quartermaster.
quartermaster at DEF CON and a bunch of other stuff too. Like that's not all he does. So I don't know what he's doing for a day job. It's been a while since I've looked.
Yeah, we gotta check in with some people like Adam that we haven't on the show in forever. Anyway,
I
wanna
like this
talk about-
one. Oh, sorry. I just thought
I
this
was
was
just gonna
funny.
say I just do it,
Mandy,
do it.
Mandy,
The face.
All right, Mandy, you go,
Um,
then I'll go.
okay, two things on this article. So I was quickly skimming the rest of it. And first, I was like, what does this mean? It just jumped out. Sex is complicated. Then
I saw that too. And I was curious. I had to hover over the link.
I know, like, what? And then I like in the comments where Smilers from Blue Sky said, face image type basic. How rude.
Nice. Yeah. So the sex is complicated thing is
It's kind of like a relationship status.
yeah. No. Well, yeah, it's complicated.
It's not.
But he's very much making light of everybody gets to choose what goes on now,
Right.
and male, female, or unspecified. And according to the documents, the ICAO at the time when this was being developed only allowed for you define a gender 3 ways, which was male, female, or X.
Right.
And yeah, making light of a current situation about all that type of stuff. And yeah, sex is complicated. And not that sex is complicated, is that gender identity
right.
is
Gender identity,
complicated.
yeah.
But I think it's a
Really digital
very-
representation of
very-
your
it's
passport.
really grabbing that sex is
Sex
complicated.
is complicated.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just,
Yeah.
that one's
Yeah.
all say.
I-
Can be.
I know it is for you, Josh. I
I talked to your wife. She told me that sex is complicated.
I mean, with all those piercings down there, you got to expect.
Yeah. Good comeback, brother.
I want to talk about speculative execution vulnerabilities for a moment.
Based on that last conversation, I thought you said speculative ejaculation.
Speculative execution vulnerabilities.
This is a family show. It's a family.
I know.
CPU
I'm sure
vulnerability.
CRA is thrilled.
This has been
this
the most non-family friendly. If you notice, there are subtle
It's
comments
been-
in here.
What is going on?
This has never been a family show.
No.
No.
But what I find very striking working in firmware and hardware security, right, is we talk about speculative execution vulnerabilities. They've existed since 2018, maybe before that. The article says 2018, right? And there's been many variants of the original Spectre and Meltdown vulnerabilities. But I've always, and this is a slippery slope, especially where I work, right? I'm like, I have not seen or heard about this being exploited in the wild. We talked at the top of the show.
Yeah.
Exploited in the wild. I'm like,
Wait, what story?
my story number 11. So I'm like,
Wow.
talk to me about a speculative execution vulnerability in the CPU that has been exploited in the wild, and we have proof. And I still, to this day, cannot find someone that's like, yes, we noticed this threat actor group,
Using speculative
APT,
execution.
whatever, Fancy Bear, whatever name you want to give that group, using this class, anything in this class of vulnerabilities, which there are, to my recollection, about a dozen or so that I know of vulnerabilities in this class, because there have been multiple variations. Like, but I don't see them being exploited in the wild. Now, I don't have a massive sensor network that I can lean on so I can have definitive proof of that.
like
But when
gray
I
noise.
talk to people, right? When I talk to people or read their posts about gray noise and others that do have great visibility into what threat actors are doing, I don't see anyone else reporting, oh, by the way, this group, one of their MOs is speculative execution. We don't see that. But what is it?
It should be able to see it if it happens, right? Am I hallucinating?
Threat locker?
Well, no, but that's a great point, Josh. There's several classes of bugs in my world collectively that I'm like, do we not report them as exploited in the wild because we don't have great visibility into detecting that they are being exploited in the wild?
Damn good point.
Like, are we not looking in the right? Like, there could be stuff going on in places we're not looking, right?
If you're not testing for it, it doesn't exist. You know.
Okay, yes, exactly. If you're not looking for evidence, that evidence is never going to exist. So, what happens with speculative execution vulnerabilities, as we've seen historically, is that the patches for speculative execution vulnerabilities have a negative impact in performance. Sometimes upwards of 20 or 30% impact to performance. And so logically, we've seen not a lot of people jumping to apply these patches, especially major cloud providers, hyperscalers, those kind of companies going, oh, we're just going to implement these patches and our customers are going to have to live with a 20 or 30% performance hit. So I'm like, I don't know. I like erring on the side of caution and going, just because we haven't seen it doesn't mean people aren't exploiting it, so we should still patch. However, this article my number 11 is talking about how Ubuntu has disabled Intel GPU security mitigations for Spectre to recoup that 20% performance hit. So this isn't from what I read from the article, this isn't the patches for Spectre meltdown style vulnerabilities in the kernel. This is the patch for in Intel GPUs. They've also put mitigations that have a performance impact. So Ubuntu has said for Intel GPU specific ones, largely I think is the onboard graphics component to your Intel CPUs. And so in those drivers, they're backing out the patches for speculative execution, going, if someone's going to do a speculative execution attack, the kernel's going to pick it up. So we can recoup that performance hit. And so in the article, it says, most of the researchers that Ars Technica consulted agreed. The reason that the mitigations built in the kernel are likely to protect against most of, if not all, Spectre attack scenarios. They also noted there are no known reports of Spectre attacks ever being actively used in the wild. So are we trying to protect ourselves against a vulnerability and a potential threat that just doesn't really exist or isn't in play today? I mean, certainly the vulnerability exists,
right?
But the likelihood and probability of exploitation is so low. Do we need to put mitigations in place? Like, do we just give that, like a pawn? Do we just give that to attackers and be like, yeah, I have at it.
This is very much one of those of like, oh yeah, we've been telling folks forever that if there's a problem, you need to fix it. And this one comes at some pretty hefty, expensive speed on these systems.
Right.
But it's so hard and so unlikely to actually be affected that maybe you shouldn't fix it. Like it makes me feel dirty to say, hey, maybe you shouldn't fix this because we've said for so long.
We sit in our pulpits and go, you should fix everything.
Maybe not.
Thank you, Larry. Yes. It's a weird situation to be in, but I'm kind of like, especially as a Linux user, I'm like, I kind of want the performance improvement. Like, that'd be great. Like, the kernel makes so many performance improvements. I was just looking at actually a vulnerability, one of the Linux kernel vulnerabilities, and it stated that Linux kernel version 6.13 and later are not impacted by this vulnerability. It's a local privilege escalation vulnerability. I forget the CVE, but it got a significant amount of press. And I'm like, see, this is why I tell you, when you're on Linux, you want to be on the latest kernel version as possible, because there's so many benefits to that. Not just device support, not just security, but also performance enhancements that you get with that. And there was a case with, I forget which one it was, but where it was mitigated, right? And so, but going back to this, I want to be able to sit here, the security person in me, especially where I work, wants to go, this is really bad, you should patch it. I guess what I'm saying is, this could be bad, but it hasn't been, so we don't need to patch it. And that sounds really backwards from everything we've said on the show for 20 years.
Yeah,
which is weird.
It's bizarre.
It is. But again, we haven't seen this exploited. But do we only patch what's exploited? I mean, going back to the top of the show, I was like, who's the authority about what's being exploited in the wild? Like, I don't really buy into we should only patch what's being exploited in the wild thing because of the gaps in our knowledge that we don't know, and we can't monitor every system for every possible type of vulnerability and exploitation. And so given that, we can't just rely on, well, these are the things we've observed being exploited in the wild, so this is all we need to worry about. We just can't. Because there's a certain percentage, right, that we don't know about, that if you had patched, you'd be good once we know about it, right? There's shit being exploited today that we don't know about. So I can't sit here and give you all recommendations and say, well, just patch what we know is being exploited and you're fine. I mean, you're mostly fine, but that's not a complete recommendation.
No, you're not mostly fine these days. You're talking from the basis of signature based. I understand that this is how it works. Here are the IOCs. You patch for that,
Right.
and you're good. Except that things are so polymorphic, things are so moving around because of AI ability to create new versions of it, write new shell code, do whatever, that you have to look for heuristic, anomaly, behavior, whatever you want to call it. You have to look for weird shit, and then you can at least detect that. I mean, look, in the world of digital forensics, I taught for 10, 15 years. I forget, God. Nobody uses steganography. I mean, I'll tell you about it, but nobody uses it. They use it now.
They do. I think attackers catch on.
Yeah.
That's a great point. That's a great point, Josh, too. Erring on the side of caution and patching things is that attackers do eventually catch up.
It is an arms race.
I think that's where we are with firmware and
steganography?
UEFI. Like, why wouldn't they? In firmware, UEFI, steganography, all these things that started as academic paper, started as theory, moved into practice, and then there's a couple of elite threat actor groups that start using them. And then my feeling is the way it goes is exactly in this progression. Once you've got a few elite groups using it, then it becomes something that's bought and sold as a commodity in the, I don't know what you want to call it, the underground, the threat criminal market or whatever, however you want to phrase that, right? It becomes a thing that people can use and buy and implement in any common everyday malware. What's interesting though is we haven't really seen that with speculative execution. And the question is it because it's really hard to attack, or is it because they don't need to put that level of exploitation or that advanced exploitation into their malware because there's so many other ways to accomplish the same goal? I feel like we should have led with this story. This is interesting.
True. But going back to the steganography thing, like, Josh, why wouldn't, whenever that's out there,
Mandy, you've got a artifact in your audio.
Is it?
In my experience, if you unplug and replug it back in, it goes away. Like if you unplug your microphone and plug it back in,
and then that breaks Riverside.
Yeah, it breaks Riverside.
I'm back. Okay, we're good.
Right. But it makes the
now we can't. Now
we can't hear you at all. That I said that, but.
So I did hear your question, Mandy. So while you're working on that, I'll answer it. And the question is, why wouldn't they use steganography? It seems like a great way to exfiltrate information or do things, right? And the problem is that, yes, that's correct, but it also requires a fair... Oh, go ahead, Mandy. Can you speak?
No, I'm just saying I'm back. Perfect. Okay, we're good.
It works perfect. So the problem is it requires a fairly sophisticated person or group of people to do this. And it's very, very exacting. And so until you have a group of people that are comfortable working in very, very finicky, nitpicky type of work, there weren't the utilities. It wasn't made easy for the script kiddies to use steganography. You had to actually know what the hell you were doing, and most of the time use Linux tools. Now, yes, dear? Now, okay, 1 second.
I guess I just find steganography exciting, so I feel like there's got to be the subset of people that are absolutely like, yes, I will. Like, once you know it's out there, you're going to use it because it's not as observed, like it's not as on the radar.
Right. Well, I mean, steganography is a different kind of an animal. That technique, we could date that back several years, many long time.
I'm thinking at least 2018.
Yeah, way before that. Way before that. Okay. I remember learning about.
Oh, I know it was around. No, I'm thinking like 2018 was the first time that I really
saw it. Like
started seeing it, and yeah.
Again, I think there's an interesting thread to pull on the timeline of techniques, right? Like from the first person who goes, I think computer systems can be attacked this way, in its kind of theory, to iterating on that theory in subsequent papers, to security researchers and threat actors testing it out, to creating the very first kind of in the wild things that do it and testing it, to then becoming practice. It's interesting to think about all of the different techniques that we have and the progression that they've made. And I think there's a, certain parallels.
There's a life,
it's a life cycle moment, right?
A timeline moment. You have to wait, sweetie. There's a timeline moment there. There's not a lifestyle. What am I looking for? It's
it never really dies. It never really dies, though. I feel like the life cycle never really dies.
Life cycle. That's it.
Yeah, but it never really goes away because you apply those techniques to different devices. Like we joke when hack an IoT device, it's like hacking in the 90s, right? Because we've got techniques that we identified even earlier than the 90s, right? Memory corruption flaws that existed in the 60s and 70s. We're still applying those techniques to newer implementations that have just poor memory management, memory protections, and we're still applying those.
Yep. Do you remember Sergey Bratis when he was on the show?
He
was talking about we are coming to a point where there's enough vulnerabilities in the world that the best of the malware developers are creating a malware framework where they can predict where malware will be available, where vulnerabilities will happen,
good stuff,
where they can predict where these things will be part of the world and be available to them. And I'm getting it wrong, but I'm getting the gist of it. And he said that instead of discovering a vulnerability and then writing code to exploit it, they will be predicting where the vulnerability will be and writing code that will create the opening and then exploit it. And it's fascinating that you're talking about the life cycle being repeated in different arenas, effectively, because now you've got an opportunity for somebody who was around in the 90s to go, I did this, I can do it again. And, they talked about cryptocurrency as speedrunning the 19th century scam artists, all the 19th century and 20th century scams.
But you're making the argument we need to pay attention to speculative execution vulnerabilities, Josh, that as the landscape, it's multiple variables, as the landscape changes, as computing changes, as technology that both attackers and defenders have at our disposal increases in its sophistication, that older things that may have been theory can now become a reality, right?
But isn't that okay? I am honestly asking this. Like, why wouldn't that be the case?
It makes sense once we verbalize it, Mandy. I agree.
Well, yeah, you're right. Why wouldn't that be the case? But you've got to understand that for the last 30, 40 years, it's been a one firefighting exercise after another of, oh my God, new vulnerability, fix it, patch it, fix it across your entire landscape of vulnerable machines. Holy crap! Do you even know what machines are vulnerable? No, I don't. I don't have an inventory.
Yeah. There's a security maturity. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be CIS1 have an asset inventory if it wasn't really God blessed important because nobody's friggin' doing it. Okay? And so have your inventory, have your understanding of what vulnerabilities there are and fix them. But looking forward, oh, wow, you're mature.
Yeah, we can't. You're right. We've never been able to look forward. Very few organizations, I should say, have been able to look forward and go, I think there's it's interesting. It's almost like there's a Moore's law for vulnerabilities that's out there that's like technology will eventually catch up that this will be something that is in practice. Theory becomes practice, right? And there's yes.
If you can,
I feel like we should have let in with this. This is way more interesting than we should have let in with this. It's great.
No, I like the other things too, but this is fascinating. It's just sad that we have
no more time to explore it. Yeah, even in more detail, right? I missed the 3-hour show now.
Seriously, no, but this is a great topic, and this is an interesting one, and I'd love to see somebody come up with a paper, whether it's Sergey or somebody else, about the life cycle of vulnerabilities and the life cycle of exploits and how they are changing. It used to be we'd find a vulnerability, somebody would exploit it, somebody would proof of concept code, somebody would exploit it in the wild, and then there would be mass distribution of this
but there's also vulnerabilities I pointed out in the past that we have said were like largely theoretical, or we haven't seen it, not just in the wild, but we haven't seen a practical example of someone able to exploit this class of vulnerabilities until such time someone does that we know. Until someone does. There was, I forget which vulnerability class it was, but someone's like, oh, I can do it this way, and we're like, oh, now that's in play, right? Like this was like your, bench players, like they're largely on the bench now, but now all those players are in play right now. Now they can play the game, and so now it's a different game.
It's interesting. I forget which one that was. It wasn't integer overflow, but it was one class of vulnerabilities that someone's paper was like in security research, not an attacker, but security research was like, oh, we can exploit it this way now. And we're like, wow.
All right, now we got to be.
It was like a side note to their research. Like their research was on something else, but they're like, by the way, this research now proves we can use this in the game, right? This is now in play.
I mean, look at so many things that have been taken. The whole debate about open source tooling and exploit research and everything.
But now we have speculative execution. Like largely, what we're saying now is this isn't in play until such time it is. And if we're lackadaisy about patching it and go, well, it's not in play now, it'll probably never be in play. That historically is not the case.
Right.
And we have no cases of swine flu in humans.
Right.
Because they're not testing for it. So we have none.
Right. And that's the whole visibility
There's no evidence to back it.
It's we haven't seen this exploited in the wild because we haven't looked for it.
Just saying.
Because we thought it wasn't
right.
in play. Yeah. Well.
This kind of reminds me of things like within astrophysics or astronomy, like that you look at what is and then predict what you need to find.
And sometimes that can take 20, 30 years or more.
Yeah,
maybe,
but
right?
they're extrapolating from what they know and saying something is affecting these readings. For it to affect these readings this way, it would have to be this type of particle. So they're extrapolating.
Right.
What we're saying is we know that there's a vulnerability. Why isn't somebody using it? Oh, well, nobody's using it because it's too hard. Nobody's using it because it's too this. Nobody's using it because it's too that. Until somebody decides.
Until someone does.
Yep. Right. Until it's no longer difficult.
Right. Yep. So it's,
and in the meantime, let's just crank all the horsepower out of those devices so we can and not worry about it. It feels dirty saying that.
Right. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time for this week, but I want to thank everyone for listening and watching this edition of Paul Security Weekly. Larry, take us out.
Over and out.